All right, it's Monday, so let's review Chapter 6, The Prisoner, in The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so this week is going to be kind of interesting and maybe a little funky. There's going to be a lot of Star Wars this week. I'm telling you right now. Tomorrow, I'm going to be watching the press release for Rise of Skywalker. I won't be able to talk about it until Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I'll be talking Rise of Skywalker. However, on Wednesday as well, they will be releasing Chapter 7 of The Mandalorian. Apparently, there's something in The Mandalorian that has to do with Rise of Skywalker. I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen them. So the review for Chapter 7 will be done on Friday, which is the same day that Rise of Skywalker comes out. So I considered waiting until Monday, but that just seems too long, and it might be important. I don't know. The thing is that I'm going to see the next Star Wars movie before I see the next chapter of The Mandalorian, so I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Like I said, it's going to be a little funky, but as of right now, that's how I'm planning on doing it. So again, today, Chapter 6, Chapter 7 comes out on Wednesday, so I'll review that on Friday. I'll do a Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian on Friday. It'll be a special edition of The Mandalorian, the Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian. And tomorrow, I'm going to see Rise of Skywalker, so I'll give you a spoiler-free review. Spoiler-free review of Rise of Skywalker on Wednesday, unless they change times on me, or they say that, okay, the review embargo is going to be changed. I don't know. As of right now, Wednesday. That is the plan as of right now. So a lot of Star Wars this week, okay? Hope you don't mind. Let me just give you a quick reminder before I get into the Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian that you can listen to the podcast everywhere. SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Addict. Not Google Addict. That's not I think Google Podcast. Podcast Addict. YouTube. You can find them all at Super Dario World. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dario the Show or at Super Dario World. You can also follow me on Facebook. I update everything there. Super Dario World. Super easy to find. I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible. Again, I'm a little behind on stuff. I had a really rough couple of weeks. I got 2 weeks of all doubles. I'm trying to catch up this week. Today, I caught up on sleep. I had a lot of big plans to do today, stuff to do, and I ended up sleeping the whole afternoon. It was great. I didn't even notice it. Honestly, I didn't even notice the moment that I was out. But I loved it. It was great. I needed it. I feel so much better. I got a little pep on my step. I worked out. I'm feeling good. I also took some pre-workout, so it got me a little hyped. But no, that doesn't matter. Let's get into the Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian.
I like those odds.
All right. So we got Chapter 6 of The Mandalorian, and this may have been the best episode yet. May have been. It's debatable. I really enjoyed it. I still need to process it a little bit more, see if it was the best one. I don't think it was the best one. I liked another one more. We can debate it afterwards. I'll debate which one was the best episode as I round out the season. It's going to be ending pretty soon anyway. I think it's got 2 more chapters left. But as of right now, it was a really fun episode. So let's begin with the good. All right. So the best thing about this episode, to me, is that it had the most colorful band of characters that we've seen in the show yet, right? It was great. Most of the characters that they introduced were fantastic. I had an issue with some of them being over the top, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So as of right now, Bill Burr. Finally, Bill Burr comes out in the Star Wars universe. I was waiting for this episode for so long because I had no idea what he was going to do. And a funny thing, I saw an interview where he says that he's never seen Star Wars. So honestly, I had no idea what to expect from him. And I really liked his performance. He played it straight. He's an Imperial sharpshooter, and that's how he tries to play it. Now, I have certain issues with the character in itself, but the performance was fine. It was enjoyable. Like I said, the most colorful band of characters that we've seen so far. Another thing that I really liked, I enjoy Prison Break stuff. This one kind of didn't feel like a prison, but I guess, it's a spaceship, so I guess their prisons could be really nice and shiny. Maybe it was just a transport ship. It wasn't really a prison thing. So let's assume it was nice, but whatever. I like breakout stuff. That's always fun. It's always interesting to see the plan. I would have enjoyed seeing a little bit more of the plan beforehand, but doesn't matter. You get to see the execution. You finally get to see the biggest thing. To me, the biggest thing, you finally get to see Mando be a badass, right? You actually see how dangerous he is, the things that make him a legend. He wasn't saved by BS, I guess he's literally wearing plot armor, but but it doesn't matter. He earned that armor, okay? I don't mind when characters wear literal armor and survive stuff, unless you're Jaime Lannister and you're sinking to the bottom of the ocean and all of a sudden you can float. But that's neither here nor there. I had to get that out. So we finally get to see Mando being a badass, seeing why he has so much respect down in the garrison. Before we just heard it. Here we get to see it full force, and nobody comes in to save him. He saves himself. So to me, that was the best part of this episode. We actually see the dude acting like the legend that he is, see why he's so dangerous and so respected. Another thing that I liked is that finally, Baby Yoda is a bit of a character. He's finally a character, not just a prop. What do I mean by that? There's the scenes at the end where he's actually running away from the droid. He's scared. He's trying to use his force power. So he's actually behaving like a character. He has a mini storyline, tiny storyline, not just a prop. So that was good. I still have issues with that a little bit. I think it was a missed opportunity, but I'll wait for that on the bad. So overall, great. It was a really enjoyable adventure. There was tension. There's a moment where the ship's about to be destroyed. The Mandalorian is caught in a cell. How's he going to get out? He got betrayed. So that was enjoyable. I like tension. I feel like the stakes were high. They could have amped up the tension a little bit more, but it's fine. It's fine. It's forgivable. Overall, it was a very, very, very enjoyable adventure. Now, let's move on to the bad. So, the big issue here really is that it's the same thing every episode, right? So I guess this is what the show's going to be. The Mandalorian takes a job. For some reason, Baby Yoda's in trouble, and he saves it, and that's it. He moves on to another job. It gets formulaic, I guess, and there's TV shows before that did that. I don't know, I would like to see a continuing arc. Now, in the defense of the episode, they introduced some characters, and they left them alive. Actually, I should have mentioned that I like that they kept them alive, at least the most colorful ones, the most dangerous ones. And so, it's like, okay, well, they could come back. So actually, the Mandalorian is kind of building up a list of enemies that might come back to haunt him. Perfectly understandable. And by the way, I did some mental gymnastics here. Because some people ask me, like, dude, what do you think of him keeping the characters alive? Like, why didn't he kill them? They betrayed him. Why didn't he just kill them and left the ship there? I think, and this is, again, me doing mental gymnastics, the reason why he didn't kill him and left them imprisoned is because they killed the soldier on the ship, the officer on the ship. So you remember when they're doing the little standoff thing? By the way, I wasn't a big fan of that standoff. It was really awkward. It was trying to be funny more than anything else. But I did like that after the girl, hits him with a knife, the dude actually presses the buttons. Again, raising the stakes. Whatever, it's fine. That was okay. I would have done it differently. Let's just say I would have done it differently. That standoff really didn't make any sense. But the Mandalorian is arguing, like, you have any idea what the hell you'll bring down upon us? I think he wasn't meaning, he wasn't talking about the remote. I think he was talking about the New Republic hunting them down. So, by leaving those three alive and imprisoned on the ship, maybe it's like a way of being like, oh, well, these are the dudes that killed the guy, so we don't have to chase the other guy down. Now, on the other hand, they could just say, like, oh, yeah, well, the Mandalorian was with us, so hunt him down. So, it's a risk, I guess. It's a risk either way, but if I had to justify, it and do mental gymnastics again, I think the logic of leaving them alive is kind of like to say, like, throwing them a bone. Like, here you go. Keep these guys. I didn't do anything. Stuff like that. If I have to justify it. Now, there were some characters that really fitted. Like I said, I really liked the Bill Burr character, but there was one character that really felt really out of place, and that was the character of Mark Boone Jr. Well, that's the actor. You might remember him from Sons of Anarchy. He played Bobby Munson. And in this episode, let me see if I can find the name of the character. Oh, yeah, he plays Raznar, the old friend. Or the guy who hires him for the job. Now, I'm not a fan of people telling you how close they are to other characters. Like, hey, man, like we used to be buddies and all that stuff. I hate it when they do that. I hate it. How about if you show us that they're close? Like, some people have a certain chemistry about them, and you can very easily tell when two people have known each other for a very long time by their body language, by the way they behave, by certain things. And so I would have really, really appreciated if instead of telling us how close they used to be and presenting as a character, by the way, that we've never seen before, he talks about the Mandalorian in a way that we haven't seen yet. And so it felt really off. So I don't know if it was the writing or the performance, maybe a little bit of both. So I didn't really like him, but he's dead, so I don't really care anymore. Dude's a goner. Now, speaking about Baby Yoda, again, he was presented as a character. I'll just go in time. I'll just go in time, and as the episode progresses. So the episode starts with the Mandalorian trying to find another job. Right, so he gets hired by an old associate named Ran, who I just talked about, who I didn't really like his performance, and he gets presented to his own crew, and it's revealed that the one reason why they hired him is because they wanted his ship, the Crest, because apparently the ship is special, apparently. So I have issues with that. I mean, if you just wanted the ship, you could have, and you were planning on taking out the guy, you could have done it. But let's just say that you actually needed a four-person crew for this job. Let's just assume that. So he gets presented to the Imperial sharpshooter Mayfield, who was, again, played by Bill Burr. The droid Zero, who was voiced by British comedian Richard Iron. You might know him from the IT crowd, the IT crowd. And Devorian Muscle Berg. This guy, it was driving me nuts who this guy was, but he plays Zin in Starship Troopers, one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says, that's one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. He plays Sin, basically the instructor, the dude who's a total a-hole and trains them. And Xi'an, played by Natalia Tena, who also plays Osha in Game of Thrones. She was a bit over the top, but I guess they could have, like the whole Fangs thing, like, you're not a vampire, okay? But whatever. I mean, we've seen your species before. They don't behave like that, but whatever. She was a weirdo, right? She was a weirdo. Anyway, so they go through the plan really quickly, and by the way, they should have really spent more time on the plan. I thought it would have been a little bit better, and it would have shown off the Mandalorian skills a little bit more. Like, if a little line somewhere where he says that, okay, I know this type of ship, or like let's say they show the cruiser, and it's a prison cruiser, and he would have just mentioned the type of ship, it would have let us know that he kind of knows the schematics of it. Or if he actually spent time watching the schematics, it would have made more sense how he can move around so easily. And we know stuff about this guy, right? We know that he's actually good with scouting buildings. When he went into the building with the Imperial soldiers, he the first time he went in, he kind of already scouted already. So the second time, he kind of knew how to move around. So just a little 1 or 2 seconds of him looking at the ship or just recognizing what type it was, just confirming it, I think would have been good, but whatever, I'm a strategy guy. Doesn't really matter. So they get into the ship, and this leads to a great and a horrible moment. So it's great because that scene where they're talking about personal space, the tension is really high. I thought it was really enjoyable. Again, they used Baby Yoda just as a prop, which bothered me, but the tensions were high at that moment. So that was good. I enjoy tense moments. The things that I didn't get is why these three characters who know that they have to work with the other guy, right? They know that they need him for this mission to be successful, are behaving like hazing schoolgirls, right? Like, I can get it from the girl, and I could get how the other how Berg is trying to claim like he's like the big guy there. I can understand it. But I didn't understand it from Bill Burr why he's not trying to keep his team together, right? They're literally like hazing schoolgirls. Like, at one point when it was funny. He's like, "Oh, what? I use a Gungan?" When he doesn't take the helmet off. It's like, dude, you're about to do a mission together. Like, why would you wanna piss him off? I can understand making 1 or 2 lighthearted jokes, but actually trying to get the helmet off, then messing with what you think is his pet. And by the way, why the hell does nobody know what Yoda is? Nobody fucking anywhere knows what the hell kind of species Yoda is. Nobody. And, all right, again, me doing mental gymnastics. Let's assume that it's a very rare species, And let's assume that after the Empire takes control, like after the Jedi Temple gets destroyed, the Empire kind of tried to hide all the information about as much information about the Jedi as possible, and that's why maybe younger generations don't know as much about the Jedi. That's why maybe nobody has seen a picture of Yoda before, but it's still weird. I mean, Yoda was alive for 900 years, and he was kind of a big deal. So why there's not even like a book somewhere in the galaxy that shows what he looks like or what his species is kind of weird. But whatever. Let's just assume that he's really rare and that's what happened. Again, mental gymnastics. So in that position, Bill Burr, you're the leader. I can understand making one or two jokes of like, oh, what? Like, are you a Gungan in there? No, whatever. Like, I'm just teasing with you. It doesn't matter. Focus. This is the plan. Instead of just, again, hazing like little schoolgirls. That was really, really weird. It was tense and somewhat enjoyable, but it didn't make sense for the situation. Then I also enjoyed the fact that the ship, finally, we get to see how the movements of the ship affect people when they're not wearing seatbelts. I appreciated that. And then we move on to another thing that I didn't like, and this is the thing that I've been complaining all along, and this is the lack of strategy, right? Or not lack of military strategy or logic or the choreography about battle scenes that make no fucking sense. So, you have the leader of your group, Bill Burr, who is a sharpshooter, right? You know what sharpshooters usually have? Long-range rifles. This dude had 3 handguns. Now, I can understand the one in the back. That was actually pretty cool and really clever, and I really like that. But that's a short-range weapon. Now, you could argue that it's because they're going to go in a ship or whatever, but still, he could have some kind of rifle. It's a sharpshooter. Dude's got, like, if he would have been quarterbacking this thing from the back, it would have made sense. All right, you got Berg, who's the bruiser, right? So, a little bit of strategy here. You got the Xi'an, who's, I'm guessing, stealth, so she could be moving ahead, scouting a little bit to see kind of where the droids are and kind of like guiding everybody. You got Mando, who does stuff, I guess. I mean, he's also a brawler, I guess. And you got Berg, who's the bruiser. So you got Xi'an, who's out there scouting, then Berg, and Berg and Mando, who are the muscle, and you got Bill Burr, who's the sharpshooter, taking things out from a distance or covering the rear. Actually, I would have had Mando covering the rear. It would have made way more sense. But whatever. Strategy doesn't matter here. It's space, right? Stupid. Honestly, it really bothered me that a sharpshooter did not have a sharpshooter. But that's just me. Stupid. Anyway, then after that we have the dumbest betrayal in history. What if, like, honestly, I would have done this so differently. Well, they have the standoff, which I thought the standoff was kind of awkward and silly. And I don't know why the Mandalorian has issues with killing. Again, I tried to do mental gymnastics for that, and I think I explained it, so I'll just skip that. But you have the dumbest betrayal in history. Like, imagine. Well, I would have done this differently. Well, another thing that I didn't like is that the timing was really weird. Like, they said 20 minutes, and then this dude's just walking around, like, really calm. The episode was 20 minutes in total, so I guess that could have worked out. And in the end, since he's moving, the tracker moves too, so the ships have to change their trajectory. So that might have given him a little bit more time, and that's why he was so calm. But, again, me doing mental gymnastics for him. But okay, so they betray him, and honestly, what I would have done is, like, well, honestly, I wouldn't betray him, but what if the dude has a safeguard on his ship? What if the dude has something that locks up the ship if he's not in it? That's what most people do have in the real world, but let's assume that the droid could bypass that. Let's just assume that the droid could bypass that, so they weren't really worried about betraying him. It still makes no fucking sense why Burr wanted to betray him there. Why Bill Burr thought that was funny. They're supposed to be like a member of his team, right? I can understand the girl, because from what we understand in their history, she kind of felt screwed over by him. But overall, if you're in the middle of a mission, perhaps maybe they were trying to do the thing that he did to them at the end, like kind of like leaving a sacrifice there so that the New Republic wouldn't chase after them. That's the only logic I find. But honestly, I don't really see a reason why these dudes can't just get a job done. Like, it's the same complaint that I had in the last episode. Why don't you just take the win? You have a win already. Go with the easy win. But I don't know. I guess people like messing their shit up before, for no reason. Anyway, so we get, like, the hunt, which was great. I really enjoyed that. The hunt was fine. He keeps them alive, which is great. And then he does the little betrayal thing at the end. Oh, in the meantime, there's this little scene with the droid that I mentioned in Baby Yoda, which finally makes Baby Yoda a character, and it's tense and all that stuff. A missed opportunity, I think, is we don't see Baby Yoda have that many emotions. Like, imagine just, again, it wasn't bad. It was just a missed opportunity. Imagine that after the droid, tries to kill it, and he's freaking out, he's trying to use his powers, and the Mandalorian saves him. Imagine if Baby Yoda would have at least like cried a little or hugged the Mandalorian and like sobbed a little bit, like a child would if its life is in danger. Like it would have made its bond between the two a little bit more understandable, a little bit deeper, stronger. I would have enjoyed that. But I don't know. I guess that's just me. Anyway, so what happens next in that episode already talked about. He kind of sets up Rand with the tracker thingy and basically gets rid of those two characters. So, which was fine. It was understandable. It was logical. And I think I did mental gymnastics to explain the timing thing there. So, overall, great episode. Highly enjoyable adventure. I just need this story to kind of connect and go somewhere. I don't mind the random episode that really doesn't go anywhere, or that's just a random solo adventure. But let's start to get things, tighten up a little. Let's start to see things connect. Let's see where this show is going. Every other episode, if they would have done an adventure like this, it's fine. But we need story episodes. Come on. It's a very interesting story. It's set up for a very interesting story. Show us a little bit more. You don't have to go crazy. Like the ending of the last episode, where somebody comes to the Mark's body, or to what's her name? I don't remember. Well, to the other girl's body. Something like that would have been interesting. But I don't know. Maybe that's me. Anyway, that's it for the bad. So let's just continue with The Mandalorian. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Imperial Army. Or not necessarily the Imperial Army. Let's talk a little bit about their leaders. So, after Return of the Jedi, the Empire is in shambles because not only did they lose the Death Star, they also lost Darth Vader's flagship, which is known as the Executor, or the Executor, and it's actually a super Star Destroyer. That's his personal flagship and one of the most terrifying ships in the galaxy. Right at that point. So after the Battle of the Moon of Endor, yes, they lose the Emperor and they lose Darth Vader, so they lose the two heads of the Empire, basically, right? But why is the rest of the army in such disarray? Why did they lose that battle so completely? And the reason for that is that they lost the Executor. Now, the Executor, for a lot of people up to that point, was seen as a fast track, a way to move up in the Imperial Army very quickly. So the best and brightest of the officers of the Empire were stationed at the Executor. So losing the Executor means losing your best and brightest and your most powerful ship. Well, next to the Death Star. So you lost two of your most powerful ships. You lost the two heads of the Empire. And you lose like all the stars, all of your best officers and soldiers and the best trained everything in that battle. And that's why the Empire, after that moment, is in complete and total shambles and total disarray. That's why when The Mandalorian begins, we see all the stormtroopers, why they kind of suck, why they're kind of crappy. We see them afterwards in Tatooine, why they have no more power, why the Empire has no more power there, because they lack leadership. And so and that's why the New Republic ship is so nice, I guess, and that's why the New Republic is actually the force in the galaxy now. Now, I think it would be a lot more interesting to get deeper into those stories. So far, I don't mind that the story only follows the Mandalorian, but it's a very rich and very wide universe. I think it'd be fun to see a little bit more of it. Or if the Empire or the whatever's left of the Empire actually hunted Mandalorian down, it'd be better. Because again, their story, super interesting. We see that they're all messed up. Explain a little bit more. Tell us why. Why is it in such shambles? You had the bigger army. You just lost two big ships. All right, well, get into it a little bit deeper. It's a super interesting part of the story that I think they just left on the wayside. They haven't explained it in any of the number movies. They haven't explained it in anything, really. So it would be fun to at least give us a little taste of that in The Mandalorian. It's a super interesting period of time, and maybe that's how the First Order came to be. because they still had the Empire still had all the forces there. They just lacked leadership. So maybe the First Order is the leadership that brings everybody together. Show us that. Give us that. It'd be super fun to watch. But anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Like I said, probably one of the best episodes, maybe the best. I'll have to rewatch the whole thing at the end when I do like a full review of the season 1, maybe. But just to give you, again, a quick reminder. Today, Chapter 6. Tomorrow, I'm going to see Rise of Skywalker, so I'll give you a review for that on Wednesday. Wednesday, I'll be watching Chapter 7, so I'll give you a review for that on Friday, okay? So again, very heavy Star Wars week, so hopefully you're excited for that. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or SuperDario_World. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.